Hello, everybody. Welcome to TLDChat. It's Wednesday, coming to you live from an Iowa basement in the middle of nowhere, and hopefully being back to the old digs next week. But it's going to be a great show today. We've got two fantastic guests today. You guys get two for the price of one, which when it's free, I guess there's really no price, but it's all good anyways. Hey, listen, for those of you who don't know who we are and why we're here, we're TLDChat, TLDC, the conference, community, and chat. We hang out here every single day, 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. UK time. Do we have international representation in the house? Just curious, because, I don't like to start until we get at least somebody hanging out from Canada, maybe the UK, Scotland. Any of our international folks on board? The TV is much further away from me in this setup, and I don't have my glasses on, so I can't really see. But anyways, I'm sure they'll be on shortly. But anyways, hey, listen, we also have an event coming up, January 29th and 30th. We are going to be in beautiful, sunny Phoenix, Arizona, and looking forward to seeing all of you there. This is the time when the TLDC community can get together face-to-face and extend these fantastic conversations that we have online every morning. So we are definitely looking forward to that. Get signed up, get registered. It's a busy time of year in Phoenix, so booking your travel now is probably a good idea, or at least very, very soon. Don't wait till the last minute. That could get complicated. You might end up on my couch, and that'll work. At least you'll be here, but it may not be as comfortable as you might think. So it's always one of those things that could possibly happen. So also membership. Hey, click on the join us link on this page, tldc.us, and help support the work of TLDC by becoming a member, and we will make sure that you get special benefits and opportunities as well coming your way. So let me know, and if when you get signed up, or if you have any questions about it, please feel free to hit me up offline. But with that, let's jump right into our conversation. We have a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. I have two guests, like I said. We have Scott Cooper and Angela. How do I pronounce your last name?
Wong.
Wong. Okay. Just want to make sure. I butchered a last name the other day, and now I feel really badly about it. So I always have to ask ahead of time. I think I have Cooper under control. So
you've got me down. That's right.
It's all good. But hey, let's start with you, Scott. Why don't you give everybody an update? You've been on the show before, so some of our regulars know who you are, and maybe even have signed up for your newsletter or attended your events even. So give everybody just a quick update.
Yeah. So I've still been working at Go1. We're doing some really cool things in the learning space at the moment. As Brent mentioned, I've got onlinelearningweekly.com, which is a curated newsletter that goes out once a week with top learning articles that I find online. We have got some great new subscribers coming along in there, and we're starting to promote some events through there at the moment as well. We're also promoting open positions if anyone is hiring or looking for places, to try and give people the whole package of things there. And we have the Bay Area Learning Design and Technology Meetup, which we're here to talk about today. So I won't share anything on that just yet.
Yeah, that'll be great. Let's and then while Angela's telling us a little bit about herself, why don't you all in the chat just jump in, let everybody know who you are and what you guys do, so that our guests can get to know you guys a little bit better too. Angela?
Yeah. Hi, guys. My name is Angela. I'm currently an instructional designer at LinkedIn. I just started this year. Prior to that, I was an instructional designer for a financial tech company for a few years, and I've just been in the learning and development space for several years now. And I met Scott through this meetup that we host together, the Bay Area Learning Design and Technology Meetup. It's a little lengthy, but Yeah. So that's
No, it works. Yeah, no, that's great. I wish I was located out there. I definitely want to attend one of these days. Hit up the meetup, or even maybe I can get out there for the hackathon. That might be that would be interesting to hang out there. Maybe we could do a TLD chat live from the hackathon. Maybe Luis will do that.
Luis came down to the last meetup. He should come down again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Luis, we got to get you hooked up. All right, so cool. So let's well, everybody's in. Hopefully, everybody was listening to me and not just chatting to themselves over there in the chat. Go ahead and introduce yourselves. Let everybody know where you're at. But while you guys are doing that, why don't you just give us a brief rundown of the meetup? Did somebody already drop a link in the chat also?
Yeah, I'll just drop a link in the chat.
Yeah, go. Yeah, feel free to do that. Yeah, don't be shy about dropping links if you've got a place where people can find you, all that kind of stuff.
That's the upcoming event. So the Bay Area Learning Design Technology Meetup. We started it in its current format. I think it's been about a year and a half now. We've been in this current format. Previous to that, Rajon Tambukon from LinkedIn. He's a senior engineer training manager there. He was running it by himself and wasn't being able to run things as frequently as he would like. And there was a few of us that were interested in getting involved to try and make things run a little bit smoother. And it just happened that there were 3 or 4 of us at the same time just going, hey, we should do this really cool thing. And it was Angela, Stacey Williams from Workday, and Joselito Sering from LinkedIn as well. And we all just met up one day in a boardroom and gone, hey, this is what we should do. And then came up with a plan for all of these events over the course of a year that were a bit more interactive, and we've been running from there. Do you want to add to that, Angela?
I just wanted to mention that a lot of the ideas that at least I contributed to our meetup, I stole from other groups, some really great groups, but they actually came from these K through 12 learning groups that had really great events. For example, EdSurge, I believe they are national. They have a lot of really great events surrounding K through 12, but even if you're not interested specifically in K through 12, you meet a lot of great people who are just interested in L&D in general. And also for the hackathon idea that we came up with, that's coming up this quarter, I stole that from Startup Weekend Education. Startup Weekend, I believe, is a national organization that focuses on hackathons for products, so for engineers and programmers to create entrepreneurial products. But there's also one dedicated just for education, where you solve for learning problems that we can apply to a K through 12 setting. So I participated in that and stole it and applied it to our own group, and it worked out pretty great.
Very cool. Yeah, it's the whole idea of the hackathon has always been very intriguing to me, but it also feels a little bit overwhelming and chaotic to organize something like that. So I think I'd like to participate in one first before I actually attempt to try to put one on. What's it like when you're putting one of these things together, and you know, how does it run for everybody? What does a basic hackathon look like?
Well, we did one last year in a slightly different format to what we're doing this year. We generally only run one meetup in San Francisco City and potentially another one in South Bay per quarter, because it does take us that amount of time to pull something together and do it well, as opposed to just having something where people turn up and listen to a speaker or something like that. We try to make everything that we do very interactive, so people are coming and being a part of a conversation as opposed to forced to be sitting through a conversation instead.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time brainstorming how we would make it work in, I guess, last year's one with a short time frame, because we only had sort of 3 hours where you have to get people in, we had to get them registered, we have to get them in groups, give them the work, and then they had to present. So it was very condensed in what they needed to do. So this year we've taken a different approach, and we're going to have it over 2 consecutive weeks. So the first night is September the 7th, which is a Thursday. So the first night will be sort of registration, people can start working. And then the second night, which will be the week after, so Thursday the 14th, people will be finalizing what they're going to present and then presenting to a panel of industry, we'll call them experts, who will sort of rank everyone's final outcome there.
Yeah, that's so that's a pretty significant commitment of time. Like I could see people saying, "Yeah, okay, I'll go join you for 3 hours, and it'll be a rush and it'll be fast, but I can give you 3 hours." Do you find that people find it difficult to commit to 2 weeks?
Well, we don't know yet, so we'll soon find out.
It will be our first time doing it this format.
So is it? Does it? I'm just like I'm visualizing like everybody just camping out for 2 weeks straight, but I'm guessing that's not really what you're thinking.
No. So for the first day, we'd have everyone grouped together for 3 hours, and then we'll start again the following week. But in the time in between, they're welcome to take their communication offline and work together offline.
Gotcha. Okay, so you get them organized, you bring them together, take a few hours and then present them with the problem or the issue, and then it's up to each one of the groups to then figure out how do they go about taking the next 2 weeks, 14 days, whatever they've got offline, and figure out how to create and solve that particular problem or what they're going to create.
Yes, and it'll be 7 days in between.
Wow. So 7 days in between. And then so that only makes, you only need to have an actual location where they all come together just twice, once at the beginning and once at the end.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
And if people can't make it to the second one, their team can obviously present on their behalf as well. So we are being a bit flexible because we understand that it is hard for people to get 2 Thursdays in a row to come in and hang out. So, and not everyone may be able to do that.
Yeah, I wonder if it would be possible to, could you do like a virtual portion of it?
Well, we could for the second one. We definitely could, because it will be, a lot of people will be mainly doing their pitches. So, and that is something that is going to be valuable for anyone to be able to watch, is to come in and see what people have come up with, what solutions they're presenting for their problem, and being able to apply that themselves in their workplace.
Yeah, it's just my wheels are spinning, so I'll have to think this through a little bit more and see if I can't physically be there, how could I engage virtually? So, but it does make it a lot easier if you only have to come out for the one day and meet everybody, and then everybody can go back. So location doesn't, other than the initial meeting. So, yeah. Interesting. All right. So cool. So that is kind of the structure and how you're going to roll with it. And we're excited to see how that's going to play out. Let's go back to the last hackathon. Regardless of format, how do you decide on the problem to solve?
So generally, sorry, Angela, I'll let you speak on that one.
Oh, no. I'll just say that we wanted to approach it so that we took a problem that was applicable across different fields of L&D. For example, if you're in HR, or if you're in training, or if you're in design, we wanted to give you a problem that all of you would be familiar with. So I think we did, do you recall what was the theme? I think it was OKRs.
Yeah, I think it was presenting OKRs.
Okay.
And then what we try to do when people are coming in, we'll actually try to group teams. We'll associate, I guess, a label with someone when they come in. So if you're a designer, or if you're, say, a HR manager, or you're compiling training, so then we don't end up with a team that is stacked with only designers or only HR. You have a wide range of knowledge and talents within each individual team. So you can actually work together as opposed to having everyone trying to do the same thing.
Yeah. So what, and OKR stands for?
Objectives and key results.
Ah, excellent. Okay. We had the question in the chat, so I just wanted to see, make sure everybody was familiar with that. So what kind of, so objectives and key results. So how did it play out? Like there must have been some pretty interesting, solutions to that problem. What happened?
Well, to preface, what I had done literally was go on to slideshare.com, and I looked for any kind of very, very your run-of-the-mill presentation deck that you might see in, any training place that didn't put a lot of effort into their instruction. So we just tried to take a very, very basic deck that was quite dry, that talked about OKRs, that attempted to train their audience on what OKRs are. And we gave it to our audience and we asked them, okay, here's a deck. Let's say this was handed to you, but they've been doing it for several years and the training's not working. Take a look at it, figure out how you can make it better. That's how we tasked them. Okay. And then in terms of what came out of it, I think, Scott, you could share the results of that.
Yeah, well, we had some interesting, we had, I think, 3 or 4 different groups, and each group did have a different attack on how they wanted to present that, which was really interesting. So at the end of the event, everyone came up and spoke for sort of 10 minutes about how they would deliver that training. They had sort of flow charts, slides presented to show how that would all come together and how it would be broken down and retaught to people. And we had some good results. I think a lot of people actually walked away with bits and pieces from various presentations that they could then apply themselves in their own workplace.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's such a great, that's a great way, Angela. I got to give you props for choosing that as a way to do that and grabbing that slide share. Did you ever take the results back to whoever posted that original slide share?
Yeah, and actually, well, I guess this might be giving away a semi-secret for this upcoming event, but we did see from our last hackathon, a lot of folks decided to do the PowerPoint route. And for this upcoming one, we may ask the audience, you can use any medium you want to deliver your training, but PowerPoint, I think.
Yeah, we want it to be a little bit more interactive as opposed to someone talking to slides. So we want to try and encourage people to come up with some different formats there.
Okay, and so so when you did this, what type of audience did you end up with originally? Did you get just a wide variety, or did it seem to attract only a specific type from our industry?
It was a bit of everyone. Our audience in general is very much a mixed bag of anyone that is closely related to anything learning and development.
Cool.
So we have everything from training managers, instructional designers, students who are coming in who want to learn more about the school. We have some of the Stanford students come down quite regularly and get involved with the Meetup. So we have such a wide range of people, and obviously with that wide range, people come in with varying knowledge of the industry. We'll have people come in some weeks and they won't know anything at all about the learning industry, like absolutely nothing, won't even know what an LMS is, sort of thing, when they come in. And so we have that full spectrum of people, which makes for interesting dynamic because they don't have a set way of thinking and haven't been brought through in, I guess, the processes that we think of. They'll go, why aren't you doing this instead? So it really opens it up and you get that fresh chain of thought happening as opposed to what a general learning professional might be thinking there.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I mean, just I see that happen a lot when I do encounter folks outside of our industry that are at least mildly interested in what we do, and the questions they ask are always so spot on, and makes you scratch your head and wonder, yeah, wow, why didn't we think of that? They have they come at it with that beginner's mind, and it's always fun to engage with folks like that, definitely, and it helps us grow, right? I mean, I think that's what's cool about these kind of activities and events, and we'd like to get more folks from outside of our industry actually joining TLDChat, and we've got a few for sure, but yeah, getting that outside those opinions and that perspective on things is always very, very welcome. So did you have a favorite
result?
A favorite solution, or did everybody kind of tend to go, look towards one more than the others, or how did that pan out?
I think what happened was we had only 3 hours, and it was our first time running it. So I think we really pushed the limit, and we didn't have enough time to kind of celebrate the results. We were just presented, and then we got kicked out of our venue.
I was going to say, and then your 3 hours was up, and they said, "Get out."
Yeah, so we learned a lot from our first run, and yeah, we're excited to make our second run better.
Yeah, we're hoping that with that extra time, people can kind of spend a bit more time, I guess, digesting what they're going to do, as opposed to being given the thing and then having to hit the ground running and go, okay, we've only got 45 minutes to pull together our ideas, and then we need to present something. So it just gives a bit more time where people can actually think about what they're doing and allow them to process their thoughts a bit more before they have to present to anyone.
Yeah, I'd be curious too. So, I mean, I know just from the, chatting with the folks in the chat here every single day, everybody comes to the table with different opinions and different ideas on, especially like the performance issues and the problem that you came up with and whatnot. Were there any, did you have to go through that whole process of, well, this isn't even a training problem, and so I'm not, why aren't we building something else? Or was there just, were there any negativity, I guess I would be a good way to put it, or any, lessons learned that, you can share with us on that, just from people's different thinking around should or shouldn't something be training? Should it just be a communication? Or did you think about, did we collect enough data, the analysis, all that kind of stuff?
Well, I don't think we had any negativity on anything that we put through. The group in general is a very positive group. So we very rarely find someone come in and be negative around any of the challenges that we put down, depending on what the theme of the particular meetup is.
Okay.
And I guess it's just a way of presenting information to a group. We call it training, but essentially it's presenting information to a group. So that topic could vary, and really anything could be presented as training at the same time. So it's kind of it's a very broad area in which we can get away with putting something that may be delivered as a memo in some companies, but in other companies it would be delivered as a training program.
And I think the way we worded it during our hackathon, we created a scenario where it was fairly observable that it was a training need. I think what we did was I wrote a scenario that said, you just joined this company as a new training lead, and this company is fairly new. It's a startup, and the audience is never, or the majority of the audience are straight out of college. They've never done any kind of OKR procedures before. So we presented it in a way that like it was kind of intuitive that it would be a training and not necessarily just a communication. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I was just going to say this. So if you set the boundaries, right, you build a little box that they have to work in. Everybody was probably then you make it very clear. So then you don't really have a lot of you don't give them too much room to don't give them too long of a leash, as they say, to think for themselves or to question the scenario that you wrote.
Yeah, and then we also give them the key items that we'll be measuring against as well. When sort of determining the success. So for the upcoming one, we have engagement, effectiveness, scalability, and the success metrics. What you need to see to judge if what you've done is a success.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Yeah.
So we do define what success actually is and what we would expect to see in each of those key areas in the future.
Good. I'm sure there's a lot of folks in the chat breathing a sigh of relief, knowing that there's lots of metrics involved and
always metrics involved.
Yeah, right. And so you're going to have a lot more time. The attendees are going to have a lot more time to deal with it. So are you going to leave like what technology they use kind of wide open to let them choose, or are there particular ones that you're making available? Because I mean, obviously there's costs involved with a lot of tools and things, platforms to present it on. If somebody decides to go with one particular solution over another, they may not have access to that particular solution. Are you guys making arrangements for that, or just kind of leaving it wide open to see what happens?
We're open for anyone to use anything they want for presenting. It's kind of a BYO of whatever you want to use or feel like using. You can present in a classroom manner if that's how you want to deliver this particular piece of content. You can deliver it as a classroom training piece if you wanted to do that. But if you want it, you can delve into any type of technology that you want as a part of your delivery mechanism as well.
As a part of their final presentation, we do ask that they provide either a really light prototype or a demo.
Okay.
So that will be a requirement. And I know that it may seem somewhat unfair that, for example, if you're a designer and you have access to all this really high quality design technology, and if you're not a designer and you don't have access, it might seem that like one person's at an edge, but we're purposely grouping everyone into teams so that each team comprises of at least one designer and one person from HR, for example, or from LMS, for example. And the whole point of, well, for me at least, what I look forward to about the events we host is that we're really giving face time to different people from different backgrounds and roles. And that's kind of the point. You don't get exposed to those things. You don't know what you don't know. And so this is another chance for you to really see what options there are in L&D currently.
It's also, I think it's very reflective of the real world, right? As I've been in a lot of companies that have had no tools. And so, you walk in as, Mr. e-learning developer, and you're all tech focused and ready to roll. And they're like, yeah, no, we don't have the funding for any tools for you. So you either got to kind of, use your own, or, we got to just do what we can. And I hear that from a lot of folks that, we have to create training, but we don't have a lot to work with. And so I think, whatever each group ends up with, I think you could probably, it's probably pretty real. Somebody's probably encountered that at some point, whatever the situation is. It just adds more boundaries, right? To the, you've got the question and the scenario that you're presenting, and then you've got the resources at your disposal, and all of those things need to be taken into consideration when you're creating a training and a learning solution. And I think a lot of times those elements don't get talked about quite as much. Like, consider the politics within a company as well, right? You might have a crew full of people that can create some really cool stuff, but there might be some senior executives that say, no, just keep doing it the way you've always been doing it. We don't want you to be too creative or too outside of the box for whatever reason, right? And so you've there's all of these different, non-instructional design, paths I think we all have to navigate as professionals. And I think putting people into a situation like a hackathon like this, I think is fantastic, because even stuff that you might not think would be beneficial, I think will apply outside of the hackathon into the workplace, because you just never know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys collect any sort of feedback from the attendees, like on just what they thought about it? And did anybody, tell you how they went back and used this experience in their job or anything like that?
We hadn't been doing that. We didn't do that for the last one, but that is something that we've been talking about as a group and want to do a bit more on moving forward. Not just that, analyzing what people have taken away from the group, how they've applied it, and also at the end, because we obviously change topics every time we do a different meetup, is actually providing an outcome that anyone can access from each meetup, which may have presentations of things that groups have worked on or notes about what was discussed, and we can learn. So it can be a bit more open and people can take that away and apply it a bit easier, even if they can't be in the room themselves.
Yeah, the most feedback we've been getting too is a lot of our participants are fairly vocal on our Meetup page. We have, every Meetup page has a forum. After each event, we do get a lot of folks doing this 5-star rating. They plug into that, and then they also do make a lot of comments on the forum.
Yeah.
That's
the event pages get a lot of comments as well, which is great, because we know what people are thinking at the events, and how we've gone, I guess.
Yeah. So how, Angela, a question to you, how has this been impacting your work at LinkedIn?
Oh boy, it's really opened up a lot for me, because, prior to LinkedIn, I was in financial technology. And so you do operate a little differently than you would in any other industry. For example, compliance is definitely a big issue, and that does kind of put parameters around how creative you can get with your instruction, for example.
Yep.
At our not just from our hackathons, but from our other events, I do get a lot of exposure to a lot of different technologies and organizations. For example, we did a tech showcase a couple of months ago where we invited different L&D vendors. For example, Go Animate. Scott, do you remember the other names?
Cognizant, Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do we have? Wirewax were there as well.
Yeah, so all these vendors came out and they had their own little booths and they demoed the product, and not only me, but a lot of us got to see a lot of really cool learning tech that's available now, and actually brought that back to my team, and we all kind of played with it and kind of approached our managers, hey, could we possibly get this too? And so that happened.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's always great to have opportunities like that to be exposed to the new tech that's out there, because it's changing so fast. There are little pop-ups, of tech and solutions popping up. It seems like every day I've got somebody sending me a new email for a new company or a new tool or a new, something that has just hit the scene, and it's so hard to keep up.
Yeah, there's so much stuff. So at least once a year, we try to have a technology showcase, which was the previous meetup that we just had, where we will reach out to sort of 5 to 8 vendors who are creating really interesting, cool products that people might not be aware of, and then bring them all together in the one place to sort of show off what they're doing, and talk to the audience. So it exposes people to a few different technologies that are out there, and maybe some things that are a little bit out of the box compared to what they might normally be looking for some solutions, which is always interesting. We had a really good turnout for that one, and some really good presenters down there with products.
Yeah, I can imagine, because especially in the Silicon Valley area, I think that would draw a huge crowd. So Well, put me on the list for your next showcase, and I'll run it up the chain of command. We can talk about that offline though. All right. Hey, chat room, what's going on? Hey, you tell us, does anybody have any other questions or anything like that? I want you guys to drop it into either the ask a question button. Oh, it looks like there are questions there. Let me go take a look. I didn't even see. Craig normally yells at me in the chat whenever I have Q&A and I've missed them. So what role do instructional designers play at LinkedIn? Is the focus more on internal employees or external customers and users? I guess that would be for you, Angela.
Yeah, both. Certainly, LinkedIn's pretty large. I think we have north of 10,000 employees. So we do a lot of internal and external training. As for me, I work a lot more on the external training. Does that answer your question, Craig?
Yeah, that was Joseph, I think, that asked that one in the Q&A section. But yeah, I think that was a pretty easy one. You know, what do you? I'll extend that question just a little bit. Is, you know, how do you currently deliver that training?
So right now, my team supports one of our LinkedIn platforms called Sales Navigators. So it's a version of LinkedIn that's catered to sales people. And so my team creates a lot of the learning content for our external users. So a lot of it comes in the form of, so we do have customer success managers who help our clients learn the product. And through them, they help us deliver webinars. So my team comes in and we help design the webinars and the format and the curriculum. We give it to our customer success managers, and they're the ones that go out and face it with the clients. On top of that, we create a lot of other instructional materials, for example, learning portals or tip sheets. We manage our own LMS for our customers. Yeah, things like that.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm a LinkedIn Navigator user, and I believe I sat in on somebody's. We do have a customer service person that trained us all up very well. She was good. I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but I'll have to reconnect with her and check out those materials. It felt pretty straightforward to me, but then after I went through the webinar with her, I realized, wow, there's so much more I could be doing with it. You know, I think that was kind of the aha moment for me. But and so well done to you and your team.
Yeah, our team is, or the majority of our team is based in San Francisco, but we do have our counterparts in other countries. So we do have clients and external users and our counterparts in other countries. So all the materials that we do make have to be localized. So that's a big part of our process too, which is really a challenge, but also really exciting and interesting. Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting point too. I always have a tendency to forget about the localization stuff. Do you ever, is that part of the, and I don't want to, you know, you don't have to give away any secrets or anything, but, you know, for the hackathon, are you going to put in some parameters like that? Like you got to deliver it to multiple countries and perhaps introduce localization into the scenario?
I don't think we're probably going to get to that level of detail at this point. It's hard enough that we're throwing this crazy challenge at people that we mix it up that much.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be interesting. I think maybe a 2 or 3 more down the road, right? And start making it a little bit more complicated and a little bit add a little bit more stress to their lives, right? When they're putting it together, that would be cool. Yeah. So let's see. We have one other question here. How many participants do you guys usually have? So you've only done it a couple times, but are we talking, you know, 20, 30 people or 100, 200 people? What does it look like?
Our attendance kind of varies depending on what our meetup topic is. For some events, we'll end up with 80 people coming down. Normally when we're doing showcases and things like that, as a rule, we get normally 40 to 50 at the average event. So something like the hackathon, we would expect sort of 35 to 50, I guess, is an average number that we got through there. The group has been growing quite a lot over the last year. When we started, we would sort of get 15 people turning up to the average event, and now we're consistently 30 plus as a minimum. But specific events, obviously, depending on what we're doing, some people are looking out for and really want to be involved in, so that bumps up the numbers a little bit there.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome to get that many people there. But I mean, right now it's L&D, corporate training, and all the tools and tech and the content that's required and that goes along with it. It's a hot topic right now. Do you guys, what seems to be driving the most interest these days? When, are people coming to you and telling you what they'd like to hear more about or talk about, or has there been anything, besides the tech showcase that has really resonated sort of from either a design perspective or maybe a new, sort of cutting edge tech perspective?
We actually, it was a meetup we did earlier this year, was the first time where we actually sent out, the theme for the meetup was themes from a hat. And it's where the attendees get to choose the core topics. So there'll be 4 discussion groups happening at the same time, and every member will rotate around throughout the night. So you get to be a part of each discussion group, and the members got to vote on what those 4 topics were. And it was pretty interesting because they were pretty much the same 4 topics that we had the previous time that we ran the exact same thing, which were, I think it was LMS was one of them. I think learning design was one. Do you remember what the other 2 were, Angela?
I believe another one was success metrics. How do you measure impact?
That's right. And
yes, that is what I recall.
Yeah. So they were the most popular. So we would always, we have that vote happening prior. Oh, you've disappeared.
We're taking over the show.
Yeah. You would have the vote prior to the meetup actually taking place. And then when the attendees turned up, we would make sure there was an expert in the room on each of those topics, so that those groups were led by industry experts and we could actually have a real good conversation. And that was, like I said before, people would turn up and have no idea what an LMS was and join the LMS group. So that group would then be speaking about everything from the basics of an LMS through to the advanced users having difficulties with certain problems.
I did want to add too about the kind of crowd that we attract. I do find that we do have a lot of startup, like entrepreneurs and startups coming and wanting to share their product or do more research on the demographic that they're catering to. So we do have a lot of those. And we also do have a lot of job seekers too. So our events have been kind of a great place for both job offers and job seekers to kind of meet.
Hey, you're back. We just hijacked your show for a little while.
Yeah, you know what? It's perfect. Yeah, I thought, hey, dang it, that's Scott Cooper. He hijacked me. No, it's the bandwidth down here. This happened yesterday too for me, or maybe it was Monday. I don't know. But the Wi-Fi is going great, and then all of a sudden it just craps out. So now I'm tethered to my iPhone. So hopefully that'll be a little bit stronger signal. So, in the middle of the cornfields of Iowa, it's it's connectivity's sketchy. But anyways, all right, cool. So yeah, what did I miss?
We just kind of talked through how we would take we would do the survey prior to doing some of the meetups, so we could define a topic, and then we would make sure we had an industry expert for each topic in the room to lead a discussion for everyone, who newcomers through to experts in each of those topics, so we could have a in-depth discussion and provide useful feedback to people.
Cool. Very, very, very cool. All right. So have I missed any other questions? Everybody in the chat? All right, so I'm going to jump in and ask questions of Angela, because I always like to talk to folks that are instructional designers that are either new or relatively new to the industry. Are you an accidental instructional designer, or did you go through an academic program and get a degree in it and all that stuff?
So let's see, I was doing special education for a little bit, and during that time I discovered e-learning, and I thought, wow, this can be a job. So then I did some research, and then I did find a 4-year graduate program in instructional technology. So I did that, and during that time I was lucky enough to actually find a position that would take me as an instructional designer before graduating. So that was my path.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so common. I mean, that story you just told is I've seen it play out so many different times. I think the majority, when I went through graduate school at ASU for EdTech, well, it was called Educational Media and Computers at the time. I'm an old guy, so it's been a while. But I would say over half of the people in my program were teachers wanting to get out of teaching and move into the corporate side of what they love to do, of teaching and instructional design and whatnot, and applying that. And yeah, so extremely common path. I know there's a lot of folks in the chat though that have been working doing something else, and they just sort of stumbled across the training team as a job opportunity, and then they kind of made their way into it because they showed maybe maybe they were a subject matter expert, or they were good at making the training videos, or something like that. There's all these different paths and different ways that people seem to get connected in this space. It's interesting to me anyways to hear everybody's story and figure out how they got there. How are most of your team that you work with, do they seem to be from have academic credentials, or do you have any accidental instructional designers there at LinkedIn?
My immediate team is quite small. In my immediate team, we just have 2 multimedia designers and 2 instructional designers, including myself. And so that other instructional designer, Joselito Sering, who's also a host of the same meetup, I guess he's more of an accidental instructional designer. He was seasoned as a videographer for many years.
Okay.
It just started to shape into, he realized that he was doing a lot more, applying more learning principles into his work. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it just happens. Yeah, I think Luis knows some video guys, and I think we're going to have a few of them on again as guests that end up, they're video production experts, and they're good at the tech, and they're good at making great videos, and then they just find themselves doing projects that are training, and over time they just get good at it, right? And it's just it's always interesting to me because, like we were saying earlier, Scott, about, you get folks that don't know anything about it, right? They don't carry the baggage of instructional design's history, with them. And so they approach things differently, and they really bring they bring a lot of value to the table, I think. And I would encourage folks to actually try to hire people like that into teams and into roles to give it a little bit of diversity and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But how about that? How about jobs and roles within the meetup that you have? Do you ever have kind of like a mini job fair, kind of similar to the tech showcase?
Well, we haven't had a job fair yet, but something that we do at every meetup is we ask anyone that has an open position to raise their hand, and then anyone who is looking for work to go and find those people and have a conversation at some stage throughout the night. Not so as to not, I expect, out people who are trying to find a job in case they're trying to find a job when they shouldn't be.
Yeah, start
but
hiring.
So we can see where the people who are hiring, which we normally have at least 3 or 4 people looking to hire at any time, most meetups. So there's normally a few people around if people are looking to switch up roles or something new there.
Yeah, well, there's got to be a lot of opportunity in the valley there, right? In around San Francisco and along the coast there. There's just so many companies and so many people doing great new things, and there's a lot of learning companies there, and just large businesses that need training. So there's got to be a fairly decent sized need for sure, right?
Yeah, because we have members from companies all over the valley as well. You've got people from Google, from Cisco, from Fitbit, from Autodesk. It's such a wide range of sizes and types of companies that there is so many different opportunities with every person that raises their hand and saying that they have something on offer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Do you have, I know Amazon seems to be hiring all the time. Do you guys have folks from Amazon at the meetups?
I don't know that we've had an Amazon person at the meetup yet.
I know of yet.
Yeah, what a great place for them. I'm assuming they have offices in San Francisco. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know they've got a lot going up north.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what they've got going on down here.
Yeah, for sure. Just a thought just crossed my mind. I see job openings from them all the time in our field. They seem to always be looking for one type of training person or another. But anyways, hey, before we run out of time, let's make sure we get all the basics covered. So all of the links are in the chat. Did you guys drop those in there? Because we'll get those added into the notes on the blog post. But if there's other links that you haven't dropped in, or if you want to drop them in again, that would be fantastic. Make it easier so they don't have to scroll so much to go find them. But again, give us the basic rundown. Tell us where the meetup's going to be, Scott. Maybe we'll start there.
Yep. So the meetup is going to be Thursday, September 7. We'll be kicking off at 6 p.m. The location is going to be in San Francisco City. We haven't pinned down the exact one. We've got a couple of different ones we're working through at the moment, but it will be close to BART accessible in San Francisco. The second night will be on the 14th in the same location. So main thing is getting people to that first night. If you can't make the second night, it's not a huge deal. We can figure that out. But Thursday, September 7th, if you jump onto the meetup page that we just put into the chat, register on there, then you'll get the notifications and be able to keep up with everything that's happening. We'll be continuing to post details to that group over the next couple of weeks before we kick things off.
Fantastic. And is there a fee associated with this? Just out of curiosity.
Everything's free.
Everything's free. Wow, that's awesome. Nice job. So I hope everybody in the chat will take advantage of that. I mean, what a great opportunity to learn and grow, and the professional development. I mean, you can't beat that. Let's talk hands-on, right? I mean, we talk a lot about doing versus the talking. This is great. So I hope everybody, if you're close by, definitely check it out and make that happen. Angela, what's up with LinkedIn? How can, are you guys hiring? I'm sure people in the chat would want to know.
I do see positions popping up. If you go to LinkedIn.com, you can go to the job section and you can see all our current positions. I feel like there might be some available now under our learning product, which is Linda, that we just acquired this year, I believe. Lynda.com. Yep. So you can go check that out.
Everybody go check that out if you're looking. Yeah, for sure. So are there any places where people can get a hold of you if they want have questions for you directly afterwards, or you don't have to offer that up? I just that's Twitter or something like that.
Yeah, I can put in my LinkedIn profile link here too.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Awesome. Well, Scott, Angela, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. This was a lot of fun, and great to hear about the hackathon coming up. I'm really looking forward to hearing how it goes.
Thanks for having us on to tell people about what we're doing.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and close your video out while I do just some light wrap up. But you'll still be on and in the chat. So hang out and say hi to everybody, and in case anybody's got any offline questions or anything like that. But again, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Bye, guys. All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out today on TLDChat Wednesday. Special thanks to Scott and Angela for hanging out with us and sharing the hackathon that he's got coming up, and the meetups that he does, and the newsletter that he's got. That community down there in the Silicon Valley area is really growing, and for good reason, right? The industry's growing. The need for what we do is definitely not going away. And so anytime you can get connected with other professionals in the industry is a bonus, but a super extra bonus is to be able to actually work with those people. So a hackathon type environment is perfect for that. So I would highly encourage everybody to get involved, and I would definitely want to see if there's somehow I can engage as well. I'm definitely looking forward to it. So hey, hit us up on the TLDChat, on the Join Us page, and think about membership, and help us kind of keep everything that we're doing here at TLDChat going. TLDC 18 in January 29th and 30th, so that we can all get together and have our own face-to-face party and event, and maybe we put together a hackathon of some sort. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, definitely gets the wheels spinning, and there's probably opportunities for us to all network together and do some fun stuff too. So definitely looking forward to all of the things coming up in the future. And so with that, I'll say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out today. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow. Again, we are packed full of guests all the rest of the week, so we've got them lined up for tomorrow and Friday. So be sure to hang out with us every day, and don't forget to tell your friends, tell your colleagues what we do here, and that an hour a day of professional development is encouraged, and we're a great, easygoing, laid-back place to do it. So hope to see you guys again tomorrow. Thanks again to Scott and Angela for hanging out with us today. Have a great